Hi, my name is Ron Howe. This is my 1971 Volkswagen Squareback. It is a one-of-a-kind creation. It has two Volkswagen air-cooled engines in the front. Factory, the car came with the engine in the back. I took it out of the back, put one in the front, and then put a second one on it. Did it all up as a gasser-style car.
So how are the engines actually combined together so there's no vibrations and
bolted
stuff?
together at the crankshaft. They are all mounted solid in the frame rails. The transmission is mounted solid. It is each motor is a 2332cc motor. They are carbureted. It does have regular ignition system in it. In between the two crankshafts, there is a custom-made flex plate or a flex disc that is actually made out of aluminum, and it has nylon bushings that the bolts pass through, so it has very little give, maybe 20 thousandths worth of give, and that's what keeps the two motors in sync rotation factor, but it allows them to breathe a little bit so if the frame bends or flexes going down the road, it doesn't affect the crankshafts or anything like that. The carburetors are 48 millimeter empty carburetors. They are not Webers. They are not injected. They are actual carburetors. Each carburetor is 450 CFM. So there's a total of 1,800 CFM of carburation sitting up on top of these motors. It does sound a bit excessive, but it works well and the car runs really good with it. I primarily set up the intake at the height that I wanted them at so that they would stick out through the hood and look aesthetically correct. I made the plenum and the intake runners that is currently sitting on. Because all the carburetors do set on plenums, they're all adjusted the same and they're all jetted the same, so that I don't have to go through and synchronize each carburetor to each cylinder. The plenums help balance all that internally. The intake runners themselves are only 1/8 of an inch longer than a factory Volkswagen intake runner. A lot of people think they're excessively long. They're really not. Each engine is completely separate from itself other than the crankshafts bolting it together and the intake plenum. Each engine carries 6 quarts of oil. Each oil cooling system is separate from the other. They are not combined. Oil cooler for one motor, oil cooler for the other motor. They have independent fans, which I control. None of it's thermostatically controlled. I want to be in control of what the car does or doesn't do. The engines that sit on top of the motors are also controlled by me, again, so that I have to watch everything and be in tune with the car. I don't want the car to be all automated on its own. It does go into it's a double disc clutch. It's a Kennedy double disc clutch, and then it runs into a Tremec 5-speed, and it goes back into a Ford 9-inch rear axle. It's got a Detroit locker in it. It's got the 31 spline axle shafts in it. It's sitting on Mickey Thompson tires all the way around. The backs are 18 inches wide, 29 tall, on a 15-15 rim. The front suspension is a typical gasser style leaf spring straight axle. It does have disc brakes. I think it's a 13-inch rotor. It's got a GM style disc brakes. The brakes in the back are the Ford 9-inch, 2.5-inch wide shoes with the drums. I didn't want to go too crazy and get four-wheel disc on it, trying to keep within the gasser theme and gasser era of time of when gassers were made. Disc brakes were just starting to come around during then, but the kit came with disc brakes on it, so I left them. So on the body of the car, I tried to keep everything original. It's only had the bumper pockets were filled in on all 4 corners. Otherwise, the only other customized piece that's been done to the body is where the grille is. I cut the grille opening out. I made the grille shell so that it could get air into the motors. Otherwise, the body itself is all original as far as its shape. I didn't do any altering to the wheel well openings or nothing like that. And I did cut out for the carburetors on the hood. The paint that is on the car, it is a factory General Motors color. It's called Magic Red. It is not a custom blend or anything like that. It was just a generic color that I had chosen to keep it simple, to keep something in case need to do touch-ups. It's pretty easy to get. The paneling, it's called paneling, down the sides and on the hood and the roof is a throwback from back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, motif of how they used to paint cars back then, and the pinstriping and some of the airbrush work, and then the gold leaf that's on the doors. It is real gold leaf. None of it is vinyl. It is all real paint or gold leaf. I did all the body work. I did all of the color sanding and polishing. Charlie's Garage was the ones who sprayed it for me and clear coated it, and then Al's Pinstriping did all the pinstriping and did the gold leaf for me. It has a typical roll bar in the back. It's not a full cage. I only put the roll bar in it, so if it does happen to roll over, it will keep the roof from coming down on my head. It does give it a little bit more structural integrity, but not by much, but it's mainly aesthetics. Pretty much it. Gave me some place to mount the seat belts to, my fire extinguishers, and finish it off as a race car. I did all the interior myself. I made all the panels to fit inside the car. The seats are just generic seats. The dash was all hand fabricated. The top of the dash was handmade. I did make the roll bar. It's got a headliner in it. It's fully carpeted. It is a full interior. It's plywood is underneath this carpet right here and up there on the front. The sides is just a press board. And then right directly underneath this, the back end of the car is right where the fuel cell sits. If you'd like to find out any more information on specifics on the car, you can see my Instagram page. It's HHH Customs, so you can see some of the as I was building it pictures. You can see the SEMA show, the Hot Wheels Legends tour. There's some in there I think from some other car shows that I've been to. So check it out. Let me know.
There you go. Dude. Damn.